You lose up to 8% of your muscle mass every decade after age 40. By the time you're 70, you may have lost nearly a third of the strength you once had. And you might not even notice until it's hard to rise from a chair, climb stairs, or recover from a walk. This condition has a name: sarcopenia. And it's not just about aesthetics or tone. It's about your independence, your resilience, your metabolism, and your ability to recover from illness or injury. Muscle is your body's currency for survival, and the less of it you have, the more vulnerable you become. But what if the fight against muscle loss didn't begin with a prescription or a gym membership, but with your morning cup of coffee? Every day, millions of people over 65 start their mornings with coffee. It's ritual. It's comfort. It's energy. But that same cup, with one simple addition, could become a biological trigger for regeneration, a signal to your cells. Preserve, repair, grow. Because when taken at the right time with the right ingredients, coffee becomes more than a stimulant. It becomes a delivery system. And in the case of sarcopenia, the delivery matters as much as the message. Most people assume muscle loss is inevitable, but the science tells a different story. Muscle is responsive at any age. Even in your 70s and 80s, muscle fibers can be reactivated, regenerated, and strengthened. The problem isn't your body's capacity, it's the lack of signaling, the absence of the right nutrients delivered in the right form at the right time of day. When you wake up, cortisol is naturally high. This hormone mobilizes energy, but it also breaks down tissue, including muscle, if left unchecked. That's why what you consume during this window matters more than most people realize. Instead of simply drinking coffee and moving on with your day, imagine pairing it with a nutrient that actively tells your muscles to resist breakdown, to rebuild, to store more strength, not less. That nutrient exists. In fact, there are several. And when combined correctly, they can activate a pathway called mTOR, the master switch for muscle protein synthesis. This isn't theory. This is cellular biology, proven in studies, confirmed in clinical practice, and now available to anyone willing to upgrade their morning routine. Coffee alone won't save your muscles, but it can carry the very ingredients that will. The solution isn't complex. It doesn't require massive changes, just a shift in intention, a spoonful of the right peptide, a dash of support, and the awareness that the most powerful interventions are often the smallest ones, repeated consistently. You don't need to fear muscle loss. You need to understand it, to recognize that every cramp, every bout of weakness, every moment of instability is not a failure of age, but a message from your biology. And that message is simple. Feed me what I need to grow. That is the promise hidden in your coffee cup, and it's time to unlock it. Muscle is not just strength. It is survival. It regulates blood sugar, maintains balance, fuels the immune system, and acts as a reservoir for essential amino acids during times of illness or stress. But beginning in midlife, the body slowly begins to lose muscle mass in a process called sarcopenia. By age 65, this loss accelerates, and without deliberate intervention, it continues silently until one day getting out of bed feels harder. Walking across the room feels slower. Recovering from a minor fall becomes a major ordeal. What drives this decline? It's not just inactivity. It's not just age. It's a shift in biology, specifically in the way your body processes protein, repairs tissue, and responds to hormonal signals. As you grow older, anabolic resistance sets in. This means your muscles become less responsive to the signals that once told them to grow. The same protein-rich meal that built strength at 30 barely maintains tissue at 70. Growth hormone declines. Testosterone and estrogen drop. Mitochondria, the powerhouses inside your cells, become sluggish, inflammation rises, and all of this culminates in a silent weakening that most mistake for just getting older. But there's something else at play: nutrient absorption. Even if you're eating well, your gut may not be extracting what it once did. The small intestine loses efficiency. Enzymes decline. Acid production lowers. This means that amino acids, the building blocks of muscle, often pass through the digestive tract unused. The body is trying to rebuild, but it's missing the bricks. And over time, the structure weakens. The consequences are serious. Sarcopenia increases the risk of falls, fractures, metabolic disease, and even mortality. But perhaps most devastating is what it does to confidence. People begin to doubt their body. They stop walking as far. They avoid stairs. They shrink their lives to match their strength. And that, more than the biology, is what we must fight. Because the solution is not just possible, it's powerful. When we understand the mechanisms driving sarcopenia, we can begin to target them with precision. Strategic protein intake, targeted amino acids, nutrients that restore the very signals age has dulled. And when timed correctly, such as in the cortisol-rich morning hours, the results can be amplified. Muscle doesn't disappear overnight. It fades with every missed signal, every depleted meal, every unaddressed need. But just as it fades, it can return. The body remembers. The tissue responds. The blueprint for strength never disappears. It just waits quietly for the right message. And that message can begin with what you stir into your coffee. Coffee is a ritual. For millions of people over 65, it's how the day begins. Warmth in the cup, comfort in the routine, and clarity in the mind. Coffee wakes you up. It sharpens your focus. It mobilizes energy. But here's the untold truth. While coffee boosts alertness and metabolism on its own, it does nothing to stop muscle loss. In fact, without the right nutrients alongside it, that morning coffee might even contribute to the very problem it could help solve. How? Because coffee triggers cortisol, the body's natural stress hormone. This isn't inherently bad. In the morning, cortisol helps us wake up, burn fat, and prepare for activity. But cortisol is also catabolic. That means it breaks things down, including muscle tissue, if it's not balanced with the right anabolic signals. And if your first meal of the day doesn't deliver what your muscles need to grow or maintain, that cortisol spike can quietly chip away at your lean tissue day by day. This is the biological window most people overlook. The early morning is a metabolic crossroads. Either your body begins building, or it continues breaking down. The difference is what you give it. That's why coffee, when combined with the right ingredients, becomes more than a beverage. It becomes a nutrient delivery system, a vehicle for strength, a tool for signaling growth, especially in aging bodies that no longer respond to food alone the way they once did. The key is understanding nutrient timing. Your muscles are most receptive to repair first thing in the morning, especially after the overnight fast. At this moment, the body is searching for amino acids, scanning the bloodstream for fuel to initiate muscle protein synthesis. If it finds nothing, it defaults to breakdown. But if it detects the right nutrients, specifically the amino acid leucine, collagen peptides, or essential amino acid blends, it flips the switch from catabolic to anabolic. It begins preserving and rebuilding muscle instead of losing it. This is where most seniors miss the opportunity. They drink their coffee plain or with sugar and cream, unaware that this moment, this warm, quiet pause in the morning, is a biological window for intervention. What they need is not more caffeine. It's a signal, one that tells their aging muscles, stay active, stay strong, stay here. What if your coffee could deliver that signal? It can. And it starts with a simple change. Adding specific muscle-preserving nutrients, colorless, tasteless, dissolvable, into your coffee transforms it from a stimulant into a supplement. You don't have to change your habits. You just have to enhance them. Muscle doesn't grow from intention. It grows from signals. And those signals must be sent daily, especially after 65 when the body's natural cues begin to fade. And it needs your support to do what it once did automatically. Coffee is the habit, but with the right addition, it becomes the healing. What comes next is the what and the how. The precise ingredients you can add to your morning cup to preserve your muscles, protect your joints, and reclaim the strength that age has tried to take away. One scoop. That's all it takes to transform your morning coffee from a pleasant routine into a muscular lifeline. Because when you're over 65, every sip is a chance to send a signal, not just to your brain, but to your biology. The signal is this: preserve, repair, grow. The ingredient at the heart of this transformation is collagen peptides, specifically hydrolyzed collagen. Collagen is the most abundant protein in the human body, and after age 60, its production plummets. This isn't just about skin or joints, it's about muscle matrix. Collagen supports the scaffolding inside muscle fibers. It strengthens connective tissues that hold your legs stable. It enhances elasticity, endurance, and recovery. And when paired with coffee in the morning, it absorbs rapidly, restoring what time has been slowly taking away. But collagen alone is not enough. To activate true muscle protein synthesis, especially in older adults, you need a trigger. That trigger is leucine, a branch-chain amino acid that flips the mTOR switch, the master controller of muscle growth. In younger bodies, this pathway is responsive even to small amounts of dietary protein. But after 60, anabolic resistance sets in. The muscle becomes harder to stimulate. And that's why leucine is essential. It tells your body this is not just fuel, it's a command. Build, maintain, strengthen. This is why many modern collagen powders for seniors now include leucine or a full EAA, essential amino acid profile. These are not bodybuilding supplements. They are therapeutic support tools to overcome the resistance that aging places between effort and results. They dissolve easily. They're tasteless, and they work. But there's one more element that brings the formula full circle: cinnamon. A dash of organic Ceylon cinnamon in your coffee not only adds warmth and flavor, it regulates blood sugar, improves insulin sensitivity, and reduces the inflammatory stress that blunts muscle recovery. Inflammation is the hidden saboteur of strength. Chronic low-grade inflammation increases with age, and it creates an environment where muscle cannot thrive. Cinnamon helps change that, naturally, gently, powerfully. So, what do? You stir, you blend, you transform your coffee into a delivery system for restoration. One scoop of hydrolyzed collagen peptides, ideally with added leucine or essential amino acids, a pinch of Ceylon cinnamon. That's it. No sugar, no chemical creamers, no artificial boost, just biology aligned with ritual. And the result is not just better muscle tone, it's stronger legs, greater balance, deeper endurance, and the quiet confidence that you're no longer losing strength. You're gaining it. This formula doesn't replace good nutrition or movement, but it lays the foundation. It primes the system. It wakes up pathways that age has dulled and gives your body what it needs right when it's most ready to receive it. You don't need to start your day with pills. You don't need to start your day in fear of decline. You can start it with a cup of coffee. Just a little bit smarter, a little more intentional, a little more aligned with the truth that even after 65, your muscles still remember how to grow. They just need the right message. And the message begins with what you stir into your cup. Aging is not a steady decline. It's a shift in biology. And when we understand the science of that shift, we stop fearing it. We start working with it. Muscle loss after 65 isn't a flaw. It's a reflection of changing hormonal signals, nutrient resistance, and cellular slowdown. But here's the key. The body still knows how to respond. It's waiting for direction. And when you give it the right signal, through timing, nutrients, and routine, it remembers how to build. Let's break this down. Muscle protein synthesis, or MPS, is the process by which your body repairs and builds new muscle tissue. It's happening all the time, in cycles. But in seniors, the switch that activates this process, called mTOR, becomes harder to trigger. The result is anabolic resistance. Even if you eat well, your muscles may not be enough. You need precision. Enter leucine, the amino acid that flips that mTOR switch. When leucine levels rise in the blood, especially in a fasted, cortisol-elevated state like the early morning, it acts like a key. It binds to sensors in the muscle cell and tells the nucleus it's time to build. Not maintain, not survive. Build. For people over 65, this is critical. Without this signal, muscle protein synthesis stays low, even if you consume adequate calories. Now, pair that leucine signal with collagen peptides, and you get a two-part message. Structure plus activation. Collagen supports the connective tissues that surround and hold muscles together. It reinforces joints, tendons, and ligaments, all of which degrade with time. It's not about getting bulky. It's about reinforcing your frame so that when your muscles contract, your body supports the effort. And what about coffee? This is where timing matters. In the morning, cortisol is naturally high. It peaks within the first 30-60 minutes of waking. Cortisol helps you wake up and burn fat, but it's also catabolic, meaning it breaks tissue down. Most people drink coffee during this window, unintentionally amplifying cortisol's effect. But here's the opportunity. If you introduce amino acids and collagen during this window, you neutralize the catabolism and use the cortisol to drive nutrient delivery deeper into the cells. Think of it this way. Coffee opens the highway. Collagen and leucine are the cargo. Timing them together allows your body to move nutrients efficiently, especially into tissues like muscle and bone that are less responsive in older adults. Add a touch of cinnamon, and you've added blood sugar regulation, which improves insulin sensitivity. Another key driver of anabolic potential, because insulin, when properly controlled, helps shuttle amino acids into muscle cells. It's not just about calories. It's about communication, and this entire system, cortisol, mTOR, insulin, circulation, is most responsive within the first 2 hours after waking. That's why this formula works best when added to coffee in the morning. It doesn't compete with digestion. It doesn't require full meals. It doesn't spike glucose. It sends a quiet, consistent message. Rebuild. And the body, even at 65, 75, or 85, responds, "This is not a theory, it's physiology." It's been shown in clinical trials that older adults who supplement with leucine-enriched proteins experience measurable gains in strength, balance, and mobility, even without heavy exercise. The gains aren't explosive, they're foundational. A stronger step, a steadier stair climb, a longer walk, less fatigue, more trust in your body. The beauty of this approach is that it asks so little and gives so much. You don't need to overhaul your life. You don't need to become a fitness expert. You need to support the systems that already know how to grow once they're given this signal. And it begins with what you pour into your cup. There's a quiet power in ritual. Especially as we grow older, routine becomes more than habit. It becomes healing. And there is no greater example than the first thing you do each morning. One cup, one choice, one small act of intention. That's where transformation begins. Muscle loss after 65 is not destiny. It's a signal, a whisper from your biology that it needs your help. The decline we often blame on age is, in fact, a conversation between nutrients, hormones, and cells, a conversation we can still participate in, but we must respond in the language the body understands, with the right amino acids, at the right time, in the right form. This is why your coffee matters. Not because it's caffeine, but because it's an opportunity, a window where your body is metabolically awake, receptive, and searching for signals to grow instead of shrink, to build instead of break down. And when you stir collagen, leucine, and cinnamon into that cup, you are not just making a drink. You are sending a message. You're saying to your muscles, "I haven't forgotten you. I still need you. I will support you." This is what aging well looks like. It's not about reversing time. It's about cooperating with it, understanding the shifts in your body and giving it the tools to move forward, not by force, but by design. Because strength doesn't disappear, it retreats. And when you restore the right signals, it returns. This ritual doesn't replace exercise or a healthy diet. It empowers both. It lays the biochemical foundation so that every step, every stretch, every effort your body makes is met with support. You stop fighting against decline and start building toward vitality. So tomorrow morning, as you heat the water, grind the beans, and reach for your favorite mug, remember this. What you stir into that cup is more than a supplement. It's a strategy. One that honors your body's memory of strength, its capacity for renewal, and its readiness to rise again. Start with a scoop. Start with intention. Start with something as small and as powerful as a sip. Because strong aging doesn't begin with hard work. It begins with a signal, and it begins with